From the moment you wake, your mind processes a relentless barrage of color, motion, and sound. Scrolling, input, distraction, until suddenly it stops. Strip away the notifications, the background music, and the glass screens, and a specific modern symptom appears. The average person struggles to endure even 10 seconds of idleness without instinctively reaching for a device. This reflex is often dismissed as a minor habit or a symptom of a shorter attention span. However, the constant reach for stimulation alters the baseline state of the mind through sheer repetition. We are witnessing the gradual restructuring of how the human brain processes stillness. Previous generations existed in quiet environments by necessity. For them, silence was not a practice, it was the default. They walked down streets, waited for transportation, and ate their meals without the presence of external audio or visual streams. This forced endurance of silence provided the specific conditions for what psychologists call internal depth, a mental resilience built by spending hours alone with one's own thoughts. Constant digital input acts as a buffer, preventing the brain from hearing the internal realizations that require quiet to surface. Silence is uncomfortable because it acts as a vacuum. The moment external noise fades, the internal monologue rushes in to fill the empty space. Without distraction, the mind speaks with a clarity that many find jarring. Regret, loneliness, and long-ignored anxieties demand immediate attention. The smartphone functions as a psychological shield. It serves as a solid barrier, intercepting internal truths before they can fully form. Avoiding these thoughts creates a compounding psychological debt. The more we avoid sitting with our own minds, the more threatening the quiet becomes. Dependency on digital stimulation is a functional response to the terror of our own reflection. Active avoidance has become a primary psychological drive. Tech platforms are explicitly engineered to exploit this drive. They offer continuous, microscopic neurological rewards as an immediate alternative to one's own thoughts. This chart visualizes the dopamine loop. When boredom triggers mild anxiety, the act of swiping delivers a microdose of dopamine. This relief is temporary, flowing directly back into the next state of boredom. As the cycle repeats and accelerates, the natural tolerance for stillness plummets. There is a systemic motive behind this architecture. Modern society profits by monetizing the escape from boredom, converting your restlessness into data and ad revenue. A population incapable of sitting alone with its thoughts is a population that is easier to manipulate, control, and sell to. While the modern world treats silence as a vacuum to be filled, the ancient world recognized it as a vital resource to be protected. Historical figures, from monks to strategists, used absolute isolation as a strict requirement for clarity. They retreated into stillness to facilitate breakthrough thinking. Without external input, the brain engages in the type of deep processing that leads to complex problem solving and the formation of a stable identity. By removing silence, we remove the primary conditions that allowed for the sustained introspection that historically shaped human identity and focus. The future trajectory points toward more noise, not less. Smarter algorithms and augmented reality will soon saturate the few remaining gaps of physical silence in our daily lives. We are watching the first generations reach maturity in an environment completely devoid of natural isolation. They have never been forced to develop the internal tools required to handle stillness. This creates a unique vulnerability. When emotional regulation is entirely dependent on external digital companions, the internal mechanisms for self-reflection begin to atrophy. If a generation loses the environmental capacity for solitude, they risk losing the psychological capacity for self-awareness. Consider the visceral discomfort you might feel at the thought of turning off your device and sitting in an empty room for even 10 minutes. The friction of a quiet room is the actual sensation of encountering your own unedited presence. In a hyper-stimulated future, the most effective form of rebellion will not involve mastering technology. The rarest and most valuable skill of the future will be the ability to sit alone in an empty room, entirely unbothered, without the urge to escape. Subscribe to Codex Aurum for more decoded truths and further investigations into the forces shaping our modern world.